Well, what are the rules? The rules are lightning talks, last 5 minutes, and at the end, the mighty Gennady. Well, hopefully it's not gonna end up like that all the time, but yeah, that's it. That's the gist.
All right,
and
guys.
yeah, so first talk is from Max Gorin. Enjoy.
Thanks. Okay, before I introduce myself, who knows this game? You know, where you swap the cards and need to find the pairs and stuff. Cool, very cool. So let's play one right now, together. So I create the game here for 2 players, a simple one, if the Wi-Fi allows. Okay, cool. Now what I do, I just Twitter the URL to this in this tweet where I mentioned the EuRuKo conference, right? So if you have a Wi-Fi, so if you have more or less reasonable connection, just go to that URL and then we will play. Okay? I will hear the sound when you join. Anyway, but in meanwhile, I'll do the story. My name is Max Gorin, and I'm a Rails developer living in different countries, traveling a lot, and I like this game, and I like to play this on the iPad with someone next to me, but then we play, and then I have to go to another country, and it's sad because we cannot play over the internet. There is no option to play this over the internet, so I decided to create it myself, and I decided to learn. Someone joined, cool, we'll play in a minute. So I decided to create one while learning Elixir and Elm. So I cannot make that guy wait, so let's do this. Oh, please put your handler name, Twitter handler, so we know with whom I'm playing. So it's my turn, let's do. I need to find 2 pairs. Cool. Let's finish it. Oh, I hope it's not the Wi-Fi. Or is it you thinking? Oh, it's the same one. Yeah, cool. You may turn again. Whoever you are, go. All right, so probably Wi-Fi is not good for this. No, good vibes. Ah. Oh, no. I've got 2 minutes. I need to do my talk. So, we'll finish later. So I'll start with from the end. So you heard that Elixir doesn't require a lot of resources, right? So I decided, okay, I'll give it a try, and I tried to run it on 512 MBs on the DigitalOcean, and you guess it didn't work. And you guess why? Because Node didn't want to compile. So what I did, I upgrade to 1 gig because DigitalOcean is easy, right? So I install Node, and I downgrade back again to 512. So it worked. And now I'll tell why I'll use Elm, actually. It's type inference you heard today. It's cool, right? It's really hard to break the code. And it's no runtime errors, really, none, ever. If it compiles, it works. Excellent fit-all architecture, which Redux was copied from, and tons of fun. So I use sockets to communicate between the browsers. So it goes to the Elixir instance and then goes via WebSockets using the Phoenix channels. And for Elm support, you have a cool library which does that. And what I do, I pass the complete game state every single time. It makes things so much easier, really. I won't explain the details, but really it is. But then I have a problem because the state can look like this in JSON, right? So what I do, I just compress it with LZ string and base 64 encoded, and it becomes like 5 times smaller. So one of my fears was that, you know, Elm doesn't have a certain library or something, but nothing to worry, really, literally no problem, because you can use ports. And ports are very easy to use with latest Elm. It's just basically like sending a synchronous call to the server and get the response. Really easy. So, but WebSockets come at a price because they don't even work in every country because it depends on the protocol settings on the providers and stuff. So just recently I realized my game doesn't run on Bali. But we are lucky we can play that, right? So why not do this more often? And last but not least, who wants to see the code? Yay! Hey, let's open source it. So I have this. Don't fail on me. I have this repository I just created just this morning. And let's click this cool button. Nope. Ah. Good. Guys, use it, try it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So next talk.
Next will be Joanna and Diana. They gonna talk about Team Yoda from Rails Girls. So give us a minute just to set it up. Okay, I think we're ready.
Okay, so hi everybody. We're Johanna and Diana. We're a bit nervous because this is the first talk we're holding at such a large conference. We're participating in this year's edition of the Rails Girls Summer of Code as Team Yoda. And we want to tell you about our journey learning web development and how we came to participate in this program.
But first, we would like to thank EuRuKo and the Rails Summer of Code organizers team for inviting us and providing free tickets.
So back to us.
Okay.
Back to us. This is Johanna. She studied philosophy and social sciences.
And this is Diana. She studied media and literature, and she has worked as a teacher and a media analyst.
So as you can see, no technical background, but we are very interested in technology. We met each other at a Rails Girls Berlin Beginners Workshop in 2014, and we were so motivated we joined 2 project groups immediately. One of them, the Ruby Monsters, which allowed us to participate in such a cool project as diversitytickets.org. And we are currently Rails Girls Berlin organizers, so feel free to talk to us about that later if you're interested.
But what is Rails Girls Summer of Code actually about? Well, it is a fellowship program aimed at getting women into open source. Selected teams receive a 3-month scholarship to work on open source projects of their choice. This year is the 4th edition of the Summer of Code, and currently 20 teams all over the world are participating.
So for our Summer of Code, we decided to work on a project called Sounddrop. Feel free to check it out at sounddrop.audio. It is a project in which users can upload audio files and connect them to places on maps. So these audio files are called drops. Here's an example of a drop, the art cover on the right side and the map. And it's targeted at users, so users can create audio guides, tours, or just share a story of their favorite place.
And we would like to present to you some of the features that we have been working on throughout the summer. Our first milestone was creating a JSON API, so that with the future mobile client, users can send requests like, please show me all the drops within a 1 kilometer radius of my current position.
Our second feature was working on the landing page. So we took, it looked like that before, we took the content and put it in an about page, and in our actual landing page we embedded a map where users can see the drops that have been added to Sounddrop, and they can click on the marker and be redirected to each drop.
Users can now also categorize their drops because we implemented a tagging feature, and if you want to categorize your drop as a sound or a story, yeah, you can do that now.
So we worked on these features very closely together, and towards the end of the program we wanted to ship our own features. So I, for my part, created a My Drops page where the user can see the drops she has created and a count of them.
I worked on a filter on the landing page, so if a user only wants to see drops that are songs, for example, she can now check the box, reload the page, and will only see the chosen drops.
So throughout the program, we have had a great amount of support. We had a coaching company called Absolventa there in Berlin, where we are also based. They provided us with great Rails coaches and space. We also had some amazing remote coaches, 2 great mentors, and an excellent supervisor. And all of this was a great environment to learn.
Here you can see some of the tools that we have learned about throughout the summer and worked with.
And the sad thing is the Rails Girls Summer of Code is coming to an end. Next Friday it will be over. But on the bright side, we are totally willing to use our skills and continue furthering them. We are completely motivated about our new career path, and we're looking for a job, so feel free to approach us. Thanks a lot for your attention. And we just created a drop.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Next talk. Next talk is another pair, Kinga and Isa. That's awesome. So many cats. We like cats, right?
Hi, people of EuRuKo. It's really nice to meet you. It's really nice to be here. Is it on? Hi, people of EuRuKo. It's really nice to meet you all. It's really nice to be here. We are Ruby Cats, one of the teams taking part in Rails Girls Summer of Code 2016. We work on Summer of Code Teams app. I'm Isa.
And I'm Kinga. Okay, we're not gonna teach you how to code because you probably know it better. So we would like to talk about something different, about how it is to be a newcomer to programming while not having any experience or education in this area and just struggling to become a developer.
Yeah, what you can see here is pretty much, we have 5 minutes, so it's pretty much all about me. What I like, what I love, and what I do. Additionally, computers were a big part of my life since I was about 8, playing on my first computer, ZX Spectrum, which I love still. Yeah, later in life, though I was pretty tech-oriented person, I did not pursue a career in tech. Nevertheless, I've had an amazing opportunity to work very close to the places where the programming magic happened. Always dreaming about maybe someday I would do this. Then I've had a daughter, and after that I realized life is short and you have to fulfill your dreams still, well, while you can. So I signed up for the first Ruby course organized by Girls Code Fun Foundation, where I met Kinga.
Yeah, and I used to be a complete 0 or even -1 or something because I knew completely nothing about programming. Luckily, a programmer became my best friend in my last job, so I became more and more aware of this. And it was the time of my great crisis caused by the kind of my job, because I needed to create, I needed to do something important, to have a continuous development, and I couldn't find it in my job. It was mostly about financial matters and paper shuffling. So I started to attend some IT and tech events like Warsaw Informatics Day or Code Carrots HTML plus CSS course. I got to John Gogol's Warsaw workshops, where for the first time in my life I saw a command line and operating systems which wasn't Windows. And it was a great event with great people, but from some reasons I felt a bit overwhelmed. But a week or two later, I attended Race Girls Łódź workshops. Łódź is a city, but it also means a boat in Polish. And I was full of energy, motivated, and happy to be able to help other girls in our group. And I also taught kids programming with Scratch, Minecraft, Blockly with Wonder Robots, Unplugged programming, and some HTML and CSS. And then I signed up to the Ladies' Evening with Code course when I met Isa.
Yeah, and then our Ruby paths merged, and together we attended EuRuKo, Warsaw Ruby Users Group meetings. We signed up and got selected for a .class course organized by girls from Race Girls Warsaw. Happens to be that our beautiful and amazing coach Basia is right there. Big round of applause for amazing, amazing coach. Thank you, Basia. Okay, and then we had a boot camp, and we wanted to apply to Race Girls Summer of Code, and this is how we looked while waiting on our results. And then we got in. Yay!
Okay, and we've come to the cherry on the top, Race Girls Summer of Code. We chose the teams up because we wanted to give back to the community as soon as possible. We had a big expectations about our performance, about issues solved. And it's like, at first you are motivated, open-minded, and it will go like this. And then life happens. Our first crash with reality was understanding the code of the Teams app, quite a big and working app. But okay, you feel ready for some coding, but then you're again stuck on something. And when you're done and your code works, you need to test it, and it's even worse than writing. But we're still here, so we got into programming. Don't shoot us, please. Yes, still much to learn. But if we could only come to the point, because we are saying this for some reason. We wanted to show you the perspective of people like us, of newbies, your experienced developer, and I don't know if you remember the times when you were at your beginnings, so just be humanable to people like us, because things which are logical and just obvious for you, maybe a big black magic even for newcomers.
And live, learn, and code. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And thank you, Race Girls.
That's what our community is about, the people.
Okay, so next up is Steph and Meli with Female Deaf Magic Solution. So that sounds really interesting.
Yay. Are we on? Yes. Hello. My name is Melanie Keatley. This is my coworker and very good friend, Stephanie Nemeth. Sorry. We have a magical solution to the tech gender gap. So you all know the stats. This is not to talk about why or if or who or when. You can all look at that stuff on the internet or look around you when you're at work. We want to talk about the solution. So current solutions are organizing workshops to make women very enthusiastic about tech. We have a lot of those. I live in Amsterdam. I think for every woman enthusiastic about tech, we have a workshop now. Organize female-friendly tech groups. Also, very much of those now. Fix the funnel issues. CS courses are addressing issues that they have, and this is getting better. So that's good. Keep existing female devs from not leaving the tech community. This is not really being addressed at the moment, which is sad. So here is our magic solution. I hope you guys are ready. Hire female developers. No, really. hire enthusiastic career changers as developers or junior developers, because this is what will happen.
So I'd just like to give a little background about me and Melanie. We are both career changers, and we both learned to code pretty much entirely at our jobs. And to present further evidence, I would like to present a case study of me. And I would like to talk about the two main areas of contribution that I have contributed to, which is at work and in the community. So at work, I have thousands of code contributions in production. I worked on multiple projects where we both work for like a small web just rail shop. So we work on a lot of different projects with startups and things. So I work on multiple projects and for a lot of different organizations. And those work contributions are in fintech and education and wellness apps. And these are all really different projects. They have some different front ends. I work with React, Angular, and even Backbone. Different databases. We have NoSQL and SQL with Mongo and Postgres. And then I also get to work with microservices and monoliths. So the whole spectrum. As a junior, starting out, I worked with all these, and I still do. And despite contrary belief, a junior dev can contribute to all these code bases. And they can do so fairly independently when you start with small tasks and build up to building bigger and bigger features. Next, I'd like to talk about just a couple of community contributions. So it's not just making code, it's also what, as I've grown as a developer, I've been able to give back to our community in Amsterdam. And I started a bi-weekly code study group called Coffee or Beer and Code, and we meet up every couple weeks, and it's kind of language agnostic. Most people there are for Ruby, but anybody can bring what they're working on, and we just try to help each other out. And then also this past August, I organized a stupid shit hackathon where people just come up with ridiculous ideas that have no value, really silly startup ideas, and we spent a day hacking that and then presented it. My project, actually, I built a GeoCities CSS library, so you could turn your website into an awesome GeoCities looking page with scrolling marquees and blinking, and it was awesome. So thanks. And please say hi to us at the party tonight.
Thank you.
That's awesome, girls. Super cool. So next, this is hot topic, validations. And Christoph Weber, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the surname, but yeah, here he is.
Hello everyone, I'm Christopher Waver. I work at Ragnarsson company, and today I will tell you little about validations and our problem which we have in validation. We built our API for some of our product in Roda. We use Roda as a micro framework for routing. We use ROM as access layer to database. And our API return data in JSON API standard. At the beginning, we have only read mode, so we don't have create and update actions because we have static data written in CSV. So during the time, we need add, update, and create mode. So some problems begin with validations. We used at the beginning some library which casting every data, every value to string. I was wondering why. it was a library designed to validate data sent from web forms. So for obvious reason, the only way of parsing digits was compared with regular expression. So I will start looking something different gem which can handle this situation in simple way. So I found dry validation. Dry validation is a library created by Andy Holland, but mostly developing by Piotr Stolnica and other people from Dry RB organization. Dry validation is contributed by 17 people. Dry organization have very active Jitter channel. Yesterday was released the latest version of dry validation. And dry validation is used by Hanami validations and reform. So maybe some of you heard about it. Some of things are strange, but awesome. So I will tell you a little about them. We used to write double AND and double OR signs in Ruby code. But when we use dry validation, we must use single signs. So at the beginning, it could look a little weird, but after that, it is not so complicated and hard. Another thing is that dry validation validates hashes. It not validate objects. So hashes with name contains value nil, and where a name doesn't exist, it's completely different hashes and completely different cases. So we must handle it and remember when we build our schema. Dry validation allow us to build validation for nested data, for hashes and arrays. So in this example, we can validate emails, we can validate number of emails, and of course, we can validate street. And it is awesome for me. Dry validation allow create shared schema, and by this we can use many schemas in many ways, so we don't repeat ourselves writing dry rules, writing dry validation rule. It was a couple of awesome things. There are, of course, many more. So if some of you start liking it, it is a link for this documentation, and you can open this and read about it because it is really awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so next up, Importance of Teaching and Mentoring by Damir Zekic.
Awesome.
Hello. So about the importance of teaching and mentoring, I think we already heard enough stories, from perspective of those who need learning. So I'm gonna put this into a different perspective. I'm gonna talk about you who already know how to code and who are very comfortable with that. And I want to tell you why teaching is important for you and not only for the community around you. So I'll do that by going through my story a bit, and this is not working. So, I started coding early in high school. I did university, then I joined some startups. And you know how startups are, they lead you to crazy hours. Businesses fail, it doesn't work out. And those crazy hours and not working out cause you to burn out, which is not nice because you go to do what you like to do, you like to code. You sit down, you try typing code, but you get this expression. You just can't make yourself program, and that sucks because you can't do your work anymore. And so what happened to me is I already started preparing a curriculum for introduction to Rails course that I would, do locally and, to pay my debt to community. So I started teaching Rails. And then I was invited to actually start teaching programming in a local bootcamp. And the interesting thing there was they were doing bootcamp in Java, and I was like, oh, fuck, I never did Java. Well, it turns out I actually did. I did a project in university, but I never pushed Java code to production that was used by real users, and I never made money writing Java code. But when you're in a room of 20 people who never wrote a line of code before, that doesn't matter at all. Like, you have to know how to write a class, call a method, and infinitely many times more Java than anyone else in that room. And that counts. And it's not about knowing Java, it's about knowing how to code, about all the experience you had. So I started teaching Java, and I was good at it. Or so they told me. And the fact is, when you start teaching someone, telling someone how to code, suddenly you have all these best practices that you know of. Why do we name things like that? Why don't we name variables X, Y? And you start teaching them best patterns, but then of course people ask you, well, why is that a best pattern? Why is that a best practice? Why is that a pattern? And at that moment you have to stop and think about it. Why am I doing that this way? And it really takes a lot of effort to put what you know into a few words that you can explain to someone. That you could talk to a 5-year-old, because I was talking to 30 years old, 40 years old, but they never wrote a line of code, so I had to put it in a most meaningful way for them. And that actually got me to understand everything that I knew. And, I basically started coming up with reasons for best practices that I kind of knew a bit, but I started rediscovering patterns. And that was actually something very exciting to me. So by teaching people, I started to love coding again. And that was an amazing experience. And because I started enjoying coding again, I found another job as a programmer a few months later, and I submitted my first pull request. It got completely destroyed. It was torn down. And I was learning again. And again, it was a fabulous experience for me. I joined TopTal, and I was in a room full of people who were way more smarter than me. And amazing experience, really. So what I understood is that my love for programming means that I love learning, and those two things are actually connected. I love programming because I like to learn things. I like to learn about domains with which I'm not familiar anymore. I like to program because I will learn about new patterns, new architectures, and teaching gives you also an ability to learn more. So kind of whatever I do, teaching, programming, I'm doing it because I love learning. And you're here because you came to listen about Ruby, about programming language, and I assume that means you love programming. And if you love programming, I also can bet that you love learning. Maybe you didn't like to study in a high school or elementary school, but you like learning. You're here because you wanted to learn. So if you want to learn, I highly suggest, to start teaching, to start writing blog articles, to find someone tonight at the after party and ask them, hey, I saw you talk earlier. May I mentor you, please? I would really like to spend an hour a week to tell you about what I already know. And that may change someone's life, but it will change yours as well. Thank you.
Okay, down to 2. And now it's time for Igor Omakov. Let's open a calculator. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Is he here? Is he there? Is he invisible? Hey, you never know. Like all this super. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Whirly, the friendly terminal spinner. Okay, I want to hear about this. Jan Lelis, right?
So, hello, I'm Jan Lilles, I'm living in Berlin, and I like to build like tiny microgems. One of them I will present in the next 3 minutes. I had the idea like in the other day where I had to download like tons of data from GitHub, and all the output was cold and emotionless, like updates about the downloads, and I wanted something which is like more emotional, more not so cold and more colorful. So I created Whirly, the friendly terminal spinner. And you should also consider the next time you let your users rate that you use Whirly instead. So this is Whirly. Can you all see him? He has emotions, he changes his color even. And yeah, and you can give status updates like the API is super simple. It's a little bit small. So you just wrap it in a block, and yeah, then you can do status updates. So if you don't like Whirly himself, then you can also change the terminal spinner icon to like a spinning earth. Actually, I didn't create all these frames for the spinners myself. I use a popular Node.js gem for this, which has all the data in JSON format, and I'm just consuming the same JSON format. And yeah, I mean, that's all. If you like it, okay, we have to wait till the 10. What will happen then? I just put it online on GitHub, and if you like it, just get it. That's it.
Okay, so I guess we are done for today with the lightning talks, right?